Hi everyone, it's Katie, and today I have a very special deck review for you. This is the Flowers of the Night Oracle by Cheralyn Darcey. Explore your power and passion. This is such a beautiful, beautiful deck. Now, I do have Cheralyn's flower reading cards, which was published by Rockpool, and I have also had in the past her Australian Wildflower reading cards. These are both beautiful decks. I even bought this deck, a copy of this deck for my mother for Mother's Day last year, and she cried. She thought it was so beautiful. When I saw this on Kickstarter, I don't know how long ago, a while ago, I just didn't have the funds for it at the time, and I'm not the biggest Kickstarter fan. I like the idea of it, I don't know. I feel a little bit cautious around Kickstarter, I think. But then Cheralyn contacted me and asked me if she could send me a copy of the deck. And I said yes. Who wouldn't say yes? And I'm so glad she did, because this, I now have 3 favorite Oracle decks, let's just say that. I love my Oracle decks, I do, but I'm much more of a tarot person generally. But as you know, if you followed me, you will know that my favorite Oracle decks are the Goddess Oracle and Laura Barron's Dreamtime reading cards. Those two are just like on another level for me in terms of Oracle decks, and this deck is on that level too. So let's talk about the box and the book and the specifics. I love the box. The box is hard and it flips open, the lid's attached. It's the size of the cards and it fits the little guidebook in, so I think it's perfect. Now her old decks, they're, you know, the Rockpool boxes are great too. But the big difference for me is the cardstock. So this is one of her old flower reading cards by Rockpool, and this is her new card. So it's the same size. It's the same size, the same big beautiful size that you get with Rockpool. It's just not as glossy and sticky. There's still a shine to it. I don't know if I can, where's the light? There it is. There's still a shine to it, but I mean, like, Rockpool decks are like reflective, glossy, fingerprinty sort of decks, almost sticky. All of that's gone with these beautiful cards, and there's no border. The little guidebook is really sweet. It's the same size as the cards, and doesn't have page numbers, but I like how much information there is here. It's not, you know, overwhelming, but there's enough to get you going, and there's a full page reproduction of the card as well. So it gives you a bit of a meaning and some things to think about for each of the cards, and then there's also an affirmation and some keywords. There's also 3 night, moon themed spreads for you in here as well. Each card also just has the name of the flower and a keyword. So, you know, you don't even need the guidebook. All the information you need is on here, but the guidebook is a really useful tool, especially for me. I love flowers, but I don't know very much about them. So Cheralyn's work, how she puts everything together, it's really clear and accessible, and it's not too much information, but it's still enough. It's more than enough to get you in, and that's what it feels like. It feels like you're getting into a world with these cards. You're not just, you know, having a look at a world, you're in it. You're experiencing it and you become a part of it. But before we get chatting about the cards, this backing is my favorite backing of any deck ever. Now, how I work with Oracle decks most of the time, and how I've been working with this one, really is the daily draw. I have done a 3-card spread, but that's just how I use Oracle decks. I know a lot of people will, you know, kind of use them more in spreads, and as Cheralyn, she even offers you some spreads to experiment with. But for me, Oracle deck, it's a daily draw sort of thing. And actually, I've been using this quite a bit because I've been starting a whole lot of new things in my life, as I mentioned a little while ago in a video. And Oracle has certainly come into my life, or re-entered my life in a big way. And I think that's a big reason, is because I need more, you know, that nurturing support, encouragement that tarot can give, but I think Oracle does a really wonderful job of doing that too, especially decks like this. The imagery on these cards is just divine. You know, the lino sort of print, they almost look simple, you know, and I don't ever mean that as disrespectful to Cheralyn, but there's just not, you know, like the intricate detail going on everywhere. They're bold, but in a really magical, mystical sort of way. these, even though they're very much our world and it's just, you know, the lights turned out and the stars come out, it feels otherworldly. But not in the same way that, you know, like alien decks or fairy decks do. But it does, it has an element of mystery and illusion. And I mean, I think that's just a really, really wonderful reflection of how well Cheralyn has brought the energy of the night through the flowers. She's managed to, you know, challenge that kind of primal instinct within us to step into the dark. That can be a really scary sort of thing to do. And I think that's what I love about this deck, is it almost could be confrontational. It almost could be overwhelming or difficult, but it's not. It kind of convinces you just to take one step. It emboldens you just to take one step. And then when you take one more. And before you know it, you're in the middle of this garden with the stars up above you, and you're looking into a mirror and discovering so much more about yourself than you ever thought, you know, possible. There's a sense of like temptation and alluring to these cards, like almost like a daring, like, are you brave enough to come and step into the dark garden with us? What can you find here? And yes, I think, you know, stepping out into the dark alone in the night, it can be a little bit frightening, but there is so much for us to discover there. And that is what this deck is doing. It's guiding us on that journey. It's providing a safe passage and encouragement along the way. It's not making it easy for us, but it is making us safe. This card did make me giggle a little bit, just because it's got that death moth thingy, the moth with the skull on the back of it, and the keyword is clarity. I don't know, that just sounds a little bit like Clarice to me, so if you've seen Silence of the Lambs, maybe that'll give you a chuckle too. So I know that this was a limited run of 100 decks, and I'm not sure if she has any left. And to be perfectly honest, if it is out of print, I would definitely recommend checking out Cheralyn's other works. She has a couple of other decks, and the ones by Rockpool are like 20 bucks Australian. Like, they're really cheap and accessible, like on Book Depository and stuff. And they're good quality and everything, and you know, there is something special about this deck and the night and there is, I'm not gonna lie, but her other flower decks have the same beautiful artwork and intention put into them, and they're really cheap and accessible. As I said, I love this deck, my mum loves this deck, so if you can't get your hands on that one right now, have a look at some of her others, because she has an array and a variety of really, really powerful, beautiful work. And I'm not sure if I mentioned, but there is 44 cards in this deck. So, as with most of my reviews, let's shuffle and draw a card, and I will read to you what Cheralyn provides in the guidebook, so you can get an idea of what is offered in the guidebook and also what it's like to work with these beautiful cards. In terms of size, I can shuffle it, you know, regular way. They're almost too big for me to do, so I do find it a bit easier to do it lengthways. But they're big without being unmanageable, which is great. And because of the cardstock, they don't stick together like some big glossy oracle decks can. I don't have that problem with this deck at all. Ooh. Moonflower Awareness. Isn't that beautiful? It's like the moonlight just illuminates what we need to see, but then makes everything else a little bit spooky and mysterious. It does, it feels like this garden is lit up with moonlight. She's done a beautiful job. Now let's have a look at the guidebook. So it tells us the, you know, fancy Latin scientific name for the flower, which I'm not going to even try and pronounce. And it has the keyword again. And then it says, things which have been hidden, hard to reach or understand, will suddenly be illuminated and available. Patterns and habits are in focus, and the opportunities to break them. It's a great time for release of past hurts and disappointments. You know what needs to be done. Improvement in intuition and psychic abilities should be realized, and it's a good time to look a little deeper at the messages and even hunches you may experience. You probably know a lot more than you realize, and so additional exploration of your nightly dreams should reveal important information. Connection with the divine feminine and higher spiritual practices is offered to those who wish to align with Moonflower Vine. Challenges may be that you find it all too easy to retreat into the dark, even becoming depressed and withdrawn. Be careful at this time of deception. The affirmation is, I am awake and aware in illuminating light. And the key words, awareness, divine feminine, dreams, healing, intuition, and habits. I love that first sentence. To me, that was just describing, the deck was describing itself. The things which have been hidden, hard to reach or understand, will suddenly be illuminated and available. That's what it feels like. It feels like the moon is dropping down and shining a light on just what we need to see, but not giving us so much information as to spoon feed us. It's illuminating a path and it's showing us some stuff, but we have to do the work. We have to meet it halfway. So that is my little review of this very, very special deck that I am just so grateful to have. Sometimes decks come into our lives that just feel like really sacred tools. I mean, I know we often talk about tarot and oracle as if they're sacred tools, and they are, but then some decks just really embody that. So I hope you enjoyed this little review. If you have any comments or questions, as always, leave those down below and I'll do my best to get back to you. And until next time, guys, much love. Bye. I had a bit of a difficult afternoon. I've just had some news that I'm going to have to have an operation. I'm going to be okay. I'm not dying or anything. But I think I'm just feeling really quite overwhelmed. So of course I did what any tarot reader does. She pulls out her cards and asks them for some guidance and some advice. And I've done just that with this very messy spread, but very, very powerful and insightful spread with the Dreams of Gaia. And then to finish myself off, I drew a card from the Flowers of the Night, which I know you can't see very well, so forgive me. But what is particularly special about this and what I want to share is the message of the card. This is an opportunity being presented, but perseverance and a bit more hard work is required. Don't give up. Your endurance will be tested and the chance to extend and grow in ways which may not have been possible before. Greater emotional strength is required, so don't let yourself get carried away too quickly with any feelings you experience in the first instance. And the affirmation is, I am ready for what may come. I think this is just a perfect example of how this deck shows up for me. It's validating and it's encouraging without glossing over the fact that this isn't going to be easy, without glossing over the fact that, you know, there's quite a lot that's required of me right now. I think it's been kind of a bit of a gentle wake-up call, which is strange. Those two terms don't generally go together, gentle and wake-up call. I mean gentle in that, you know, it's still supportive and kind, but it's a strong message too, that, you know, me buying into these feelings of hopelessness and helplessness, that's not serving anyone. That I need to do better than that, that I have a responsibility to myself and the people that love me to do better than that. So again, apologies for the lighting, but you guys have already seen how beautiful this deck is. I just wanted to share with you its message and how impactful it's been for me tonight, how important it's been for me tonight.